everybody. Welcome to Thursday Night Live with Bill Tucci.
Behold his mighty hand.
Tucci gang, Tucci gang, Tucci gang, Tucci gang, Tucci gang, Tucci gang, Tucci gang.
Just want to manage expectations.
Weird.
This is the worst.
Boom! Brother Tucci!
My dog. Hang on.
What you do? Would you scare your dog away?
I don't know. She was just laying down. She's
What's she doing? I see her. What is she doing? I see
Where's that
dog
thing?
butt. I see dog butt.
Scala.
Tucci, my brother. What's going on, man? We've been some busy fellers lately.
So busy, bro. So busy. We didn't even talk all week.
I know. We went one
Until
whole
today?
week without talking.
I know.
I had to see my therapist. I was like, did I do something wrong, Linda? What is going on here? He's not answering the calls.
No, we've been missing each
I
other.
know. Phone tag, brother. Phone tag.
Phone tag. What's today?
We're back.
Thursday?
We're back,
Yeah.
dude. We're getting back in the swing of things. Conventions, projects, new series coming to the channel. We just relaunched the new season of Steven Samino.
Yeah, I got to see the great why am I blanking? What the hell's the matter with me? John Cimino, and of course the legend,
Mr. Roy Thomas.
Mr. Roy Thomas, and saw them in Charlotte.
Yes.
They had a great time. They were only there for I think it just did
Just
Friday and
Saturday,
Saturday, and then
right?
they left.
Yeah. Well, you know what's awesome? Now that John lives down by Roy,
Oh, he
we're gonna have a
does?
lot more of Roy Thomas on the channel.
Oh, that's great. That's
So the
great.
mascot of their show will officially be actually on the freaking show.
Excellent.
How
Excellent.
awesome
Hey, you know,
is that?
Scala, you were saying how you were working on the railroad, if you will, right? You got a little tan going on there.
That's right. Yeah.
I'm kind of looking at myself. I think I got a little sun too today while I
You
was
got a
working
little sun
outside.
kiss on you, brother.
Yeah, a little.
You know?
Look at that.
Were
Holy.
you out there
Look-
shirtless, getting sweaty,
Look at this one.
standing those poles and stuff?
Yeah. Marcus Killigrew's not talking to Scala until he shows up at Heroes Con. Wow.
All right. Send an email to my wife and tell her to stop giving me projects, and I'll be there.
Dude, we got a great show. I'm very excited to talk to Luke.
Yes. We
Because
have a
Debbie
great
and I have
show.
been actually talking about FundMyComic. And the thing is like, you know, I was talking to a couple of people like, you know, why do you do FundMyComic? I know we want to, and it's just it's just another thing to do, you know, that we have to find the time, because who doesn't want to, you know, to expand your horizons?
Like selling every shop, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
Get it out
So,
there.
yeah, we will if he'll have us.
Yes, definitely.
But in the meantime, great Heroes Con I had. Lot of fun. Hung out with Marcus Killigrew. Actually, I think 1 week ago tonight, Scala. Right
Yeah.
this very instant. I'm hanging out with Marcus Killigrew.
Oh, yeah?
Yep, talking about you, talking smack.
What?
Yep, talking
Oh.
smack.
This is war. This is war.
War. Talking about war, talking about comics. Marcus Killigrew knows a lot about comics, dude.
Dude, a lot of our viewers do. I think that's why
A
they
lot.
watch the channel. I think they kind of like comics. I think they get it. I think they're into it.
They
You
are.
know, I mean, some like our guests, they're building platforms to fund and
Yeah,
bring
our
these
guest is
ideas and dreams to fruition, my man.
Yeah, our guest is a beast, and we all have to start supporting him in his platform, because it'll help you. You'll benefit from it.
Yeah.
You will benefit from this. So, you know, without further ado, Scala, do you want to?
Yes.
Make a little-
Let's bring him in. Let's bring him in. A comic creator, a fantastic artist, and the founder of FundMyComic. Everyone, let's hang out with Mr. Luke Stone.
Luke Stone.
Luke
How's it
Stone,
going?
brother. What's going on,
How's it
man?
going?
Long time.
Minutes.
Last time you were on the
It's
show,
been-
you were promoting a book. Now we got you on to talk
It's been
about.
ages ago.
Yeah. And back
been
then,
ages
you even
ago.
told us. I think Frank Amazing was on that show. That's how far back we're going. And I think you mentioned to us after the show that you were trying to work on doing your own crowdfunding platform. What was that, like 3-4 years ago, right?
Well, I can't remember how long ago I was on the show with you guys.
Could have been that long.
Yeah.
Well, welcome, man. So you've got this thing. You've got it. It's about what did you guys launch about a year ago, right? It was a soft launch a year ago?
Last March.
Yeah.
March 17th, we launched in 2023. And we did a real soft launch. We were hoping to launch January of 2023, December of 2022. But that just didn't happen. It takes a lot of work to do these things.
Well, those good months to actually launch, though, too. So it might have been good that you held it off a little. You know, like you think about December, right? Christmas time, family stuff. Everyone's stressing out.
Yeah, but it's not a campaign though. It's a platform.
It's a actual platform. No, but I'm just wondering how many people actually stream. I mean, I'm sorry, actually launch a campaign.
Well, we weren't expecting many, but we actually wanted to be live for February. So we want to give people a few months to start getting acclimated to the site and start. We had no idea how much interest we were going to have right out of the gate with this thing. So
yeah,
how long was it going to take to, to start filling the site up and start populating it with projects and things like that. So it was, like everything, we had to call audibles with it, because it's, it's web development. You can, make all the plans that you want, but sometimes it just doesn't do it.
Yeah, I hear you. So let's take a little history lesson. Let's dive into this, Luke. Let's talk about, what inspired you to actually create FundMyComic, and how did you pull this whole thing together?
Okay, well, it really started when I don't know if you know this, but I got pretty sick in 2022 with the vid. So I went down for 5 months in the hospital. I was in a coma for 5.5 weeks.
Wow.
With that, I was on a vent for like 70 some days. Yeah, so it was like, I almost died. Right before I died, I was supposed to be a part of this deal. had been working with Randy Zimmerman with Arrow Comics. And a friend of ours had some distribution deal that was supposed to be really nice. And so we spent a lot of money to kind of go into that. And when I wake up, I find out that the deal was a hoax and that it wasn't real. And we spent a bunch of money for no reason.
I know what
you're most people are like somewhat vaguely familiar with that.
Yeah.
And so as I'm waking up and recovering, I hadn't been on social media for a while. My first time back, I'm learning that okay, this big distribution deal didn't happen. And so I have a ton of books, and I'm relearning how to walk, talk, eat, draw. Had to relearn how to draw. And I was like, this is rough. And I was pretty upset by the whole distribution issue. And then I started looking online at people that were crowdfunding, and I noticed that there was a lot of kind of tomfoolery. There's always been the Kickstarter boycott going around with certain circles, And then there was some issues with Indiegogo, withholding funds and shadow banning and things like that. And I knew, for years I've been a conservative pastor, and so I know it's like, well, there's going to be a sermon that's going to come up, and I'm going to, obviously all the stuff that you preach from the Bible is not very popular anymore. So I know at some point someone's going to try to cancel me, and I just wanted to find a way to be uncancelable, really. I knew that I wasn't going to continue on in the ministry because, the church did not do well while I was gone, and so we knew we were going to have to dissolve the ministry. I wasn't physically fit enough to kind of do any other work, and I definitely didn't have the energy to go back into the pulpit. And all I could do was draw, and I didn't have anybody that was hiring me to do commissions and draw their books. I was just doing mine. So it was really important to me that I would be able to continue to make my own books and not have to worry about money not coming in. And I just wanted to maintain relationship with the fans that I knew I had. And so I started to look. I didn't want to put my fate in someone else's hands again like I did with the distribution thing. I wanted to be in charge of it. If I was going down, it was going to be because of me and not somebody else, right?
Here, here.
So I just started looking at ways to crowdfund from my own website. And I started finding different ways, and I looked into, WordPress and, Shopify. And so much of that I didn't like because I felt like it left me vulnerable, to somebody else's whim at some point, right? So I wound up finding a couple of developers that did like what you would call white label stuff. They did a lot with corporations. They already had a basic infrastructure for doing crowdfunding for corporations. A lot of times there's going to be, a company that wants to crowdfund for a special interest or whatever. And so they already had kind of this, plug and play kind of thing. And so there's a couple of them, and one of them I really liked the people. I liked the kind of the base features, and I tried it out, and it worked for my own website. And as I'm looking at it, I'm hanging out in a back room with Ray Haylock, the web guy for Tug. So he's in the back room and he's looking at like what I'm doing here. I'm like, yeah. And so I said, I can pay to have this done and this done, and like change things or whatever. And he said, wait, how many users can you have? I said, an infinite number of users if I want. I said, but who wants to do that? Who wants to, have to deal with that?
Right.
And so I said, if some of my friends come along and, maybe they get shadow banned or, they have some issues or they just want to save some money, then, they can use the platform. It's no big deal. But from that conversation, I started getting a lot of requests. Luke, just bite the bullet and open this up for everybody. Like kept trying to talk me into it. And I was really reluctant because I knew that it meant, okay, I'm going to have to hire lawyers. I'm going to have to hire accountants because we got to have all the paperwork right. What do I do about, payment processors? The whole thing just started kind of, unfolding. And I talked with the developers. They were very helpful. They said, yeah, we could be able to do this. And I had just kind of come into, since the church was dissolving, the board had voted to give me a severance package. And so I talked with my wife about, the opportunity of maybe open this thing up for everybody. And she felt like it was a good idea. We prayed about it. And so we took my severance package, rather than live off of it for a year or two. We took my severance package and invested it into developing FundMyComic. And so at that point, we wound up finding a real name for it instead of, well, I won't tell you the name I had for it. It's not appropriate. Had something to do with not being cancelable. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah.
And so, so we found a real name for it, registered domains. I was very fortunate that, I had met one of the prominent families at our church had 2 lawyers in their family that did business law and different things like that. They had helped us in dissolving the ministry, and so I got a little bit of help with trying to set things up initially. And so I had some people really help. I was just very fortunate. It's like everything just kind of fell into place, like real kismet, really. And so it made it easy. So if there was like really any struggle to start with, I was looking for a reason not to share, kind of that first few months, and working through that. And we're very fortunate that no reason to not do it presented itself. And so I wound up talking with another friend, and he said, hey, I want to invest money into it too. And so he and I took our money and we invested into this, started working with developers. We got, terms of service worked out. We got the accounting stuff we figured out, payment processors. So I wanted to go with somebody that was rather trusted. And I knew everybody was used to using Stripe, but Stripe had in their terms of service that you couldn't crowdfund. And so I had to contact them and say, is there any way that we can, this is the business that we want to do. I understand why you say no crowdfunding, but, how can we work this out? And it was very easy. We just had to provide a lot of documentation from our legal department, and get that going. And so everything kind of fell into place. And the hardest part was the development aspect. We tried working with another developer for a little bit that had a few ideas. They wound up not working out. So we had to, it was like, you know how it is. It's like
Yeah.
finding a good creative team to work on a
Yeah.
comic. Sometimes so it's a little ebb and flow. And we were supposed to launch, like I said, in December of 2022. But I had to, at least that was the projected, like when we could do it.
Mm-hmm.
But I had to wind up relocating because we were living in a parsonage. And so we sold the parsonage. I wound up leaving Florida and moving to Indiana, which worked out because Indiana is way more favorable for small businesses like ours, And so that kind of worked out in our favor a lot. And again, it was just like more things kind of falling into place. And then, so we were able to finally get things, like I was finally settled in February, with this move cross country. And then we were able to do a soft launch. And so we had a lot of interest where people had already started, kind of asking about the site. We were talking about it all the time, doing all kinds of, chatting about the site. And we were able to launch with, I think it was 25 campaigns the first day that it went live. So, and since then we've, I'll just give you a few numbers.
Yeah, let's see.
We've processed 121 different campaigns.
Fantastic.
We have currently 93 campaigns that are running right now. We have funded through the website in the last year and a half a total of $489,243.
Wow, fantastic.
Yeah, so
Great.
right now we have several thousand users that use the site. One of the numbers I'm really proud of is that what I call it conversions, where someone will come to the website for one campaign and wind up backing another campaign as well. We're running about 17% of the people that come in and back one project will back a second or third project on their way out. So, I mean, that's, for a website where 100% of our traffic is comics, that's pretty good. That's pretty good, And so, but that was always a big part of, why we would decide to do this or not. I didn't just want to have like a free speech option, although that's really important. There's principles that we stand on. But my partner Todd and I, we had a lot of discussion. We did a lot of research to find out, is it even viable? Would people need to use a separate platform other than the pink and green site, as I like to call them? And while we were trying to figure this out, I ran like 25 or 30 different campaigns between the other two sites over, the last 7 or 8 years. And one of the things that I discovered going back and looking at all of those analytics and having all of my friends go back and look at theirs is those platforms will tout that they bring anywhere between 25 and so percent of your traffic to you. But what we were actually learning is that if you say you're on the pink site and someone knows that your campaign is live, they don't know the full name, they know a bit of the name, they don't know the direct URL. But if they go to, say, pink site and type in the search bar that campaign name-ish or your name to find you, and they find it and back it, then those sites are taking credit for that as they've driven that traffic to you. But that's not true. You actually drove that traffic through an email blast, social media, some kind of YouTube presence. You brought that there, and we found that creators were actually bringing anywhere between 70 to 90% of their own audience to wherever they go. So most of their traffic was them. There was a little bit of organic platform traffic, but most of it was them. And so we started thinking, if we could charge a lower platform fee. See, like my job is I've been very fortunate to get hired to do people's comics and covers and things like that. So I do a lot of work for other people now. So that's kind of my main day job. And so my thought was, what if we can keep our platform fee as low as possible so that we can just manage just paying the day-to-day and keep the doors open with it and allow more of that money to go back into the creators' pockets. And I also wanted to try to figure out a way to give more freedom to the creators. I wanted them to be able to, have quicker payouts. So we actually have it to where if you run a certain type of campaign, you can actually have daily payouts once the money starts coming in. That way you can use those funds for production. It really comes in handy, because as a guy that really makes a living now drawing comics for other people, a lot of times they will, my clients will crowdfund and then have to wait to the end to pay me, to be able to pay for more pages.
Right.
When it's really nice if they can be like, hey, we just had some more money come in. We know we're making the book anyway. They've been trying to put their own money into it, but now they have backers that are helping them out and jumping on early. And so they're using those funds to help pay for artists, colorists, all that stuff. So production happens faster. Books are getting delivered better, faster. And so we just thought this would be a much it just made more sense for comic book people to be able to do that. And 30 and 60 day campaigns are great, but they're not. I'm a Gen Xer. I'm a do it my way kind of person. I really loved, I was a musician in the 90s, as a teenager. We loved the whole idea of the street team, of the DIY record labels and all of that stuff. It just made sense to me. So I was like, why would I just do 30 or 60 days? What if I wanted to do, 120 days and I just wanted to leave it up, or something like that. And so we worked in a way to make sure that everybody had freedom to be able to do those things. And so we wanted to make it as boutique as we possibly could with the ability to scale up over time. And so that was kind of the mindset behind it. So it started out of, I've talked a lot here. It started out of
That's what we're here for.
Yeah, it started out of almost dying to then being like, you know what, let's start a comic book website. So that's kind of where it all came from.
Now, you talked about having really low fees. Could you, for those that, are contemplating going to your site to launch a campaign, many viewers, I'm sure, are familiar with it. But for those that are going to watch this, it may not be. So what are your fees compared to the Green and Pink Company?
All right. So we have a base fee of 3%, which compared to the other two is 5%. They have 5%. And so we also have 2 other programs that are involved with this. So if you run your first 30 days exclusive on FundMyComic, and this is really to help you out, right? So as I mentioned before, one of the things that we learned was that 70 to 90% of your audience is going to follow you wherever you go. Billy, no matter where you go, 70 to 90% of your audience, they're loyal to you, not the platform that you use. It's just the truth, right? So why not take advantage and keep more of that initial audience and keep more of that money in your pocket? Because, economy sucks. And this is always way more expensive than what we ever think, right? It always winds up costing more than you budget.
Right.
So we have a thing where if you do 30 days exclusive, then you get a 2% platform fee instead of a 3% platform fee, making sure that you save even more money. But then I started working with this guy named Hojo. So Howard Desper, he did a book called Mythicals.
Yep.
And he was, a good friend of mine and early adopter of trying to help make this thing go. And one of the things that he started doing was recruiting people to the platform. And I said, look, you do so much work for this. How about we work out a program together? Let's see how this would work. I'm thinking about doing an ambassador program where we lower the platform fee to like 1%. And what would be reasonable on your end? Like, what would you expect would be a reasonable return for that? And so he helped come up with this program with us where if you are, obviously you run your first of your campaign exclusive. You don't have to be, the whole thing doesn't have to be exclusive, but at least the first 30 has to be exclusive. And then you go and recruit and help bring on other people. And, you kind of become part of the inner circle, a little bit. And you can have as low as you start out with a 1% platform fee. And the more that you bring on, the more people that you bring to the platform, the more traffic and dollars it generates because of your word of mouth. You can earn up to a 0% platform fee by becoming an ambassador. So you can really save a lot of money. So just out of curiosity, Billy, what was the total of your last campaign? Like, what did you make on that one?
The one we make right now. Give me a second. Give me 1 second. I'll let you know. Hang on. Oh.
Crunching the numbers. Did he have pants on?
Well,
it's
Yeah,
not
it's exciting.
It's, closing in on
Cool.
110,000.
So let's just say we're doing 110,000. Which, by the way, the first six-figure campaign on FundMyComic, I'm buying them a steak dinner.
There you go.
All right, so
Nice.
so if you would have done just the regular 3%, you would have kept $2,543 more dollars than what you kept with Pink or Green.
Mm-hmm.
If you would have done the 30-day exclusive, you would have kept $3,775 more. And if you would become an ambassador, helping promote the website and recruit people, you would keep $4,981.88. So that kind of, when we talk in percentages, it doesn't sound like a lot, right? Mm-hmm. Like, oh, well, it's just 2% more I'm saving, or it's 3% more. But when you start thinking in terms of $110,000, that's almost $5,000 extra dollars that you keep in your pocket. I mean, I don't know how you would spend that. I don't know, booze and hookers. It's up to you. It's not me, not my place to judge, right? But I'm just.
Yeah, see the thing, like it's interesting because like our Kickstarters, even though I promote so much on Indiegogo with the Kings and everything like that, is that our Kickstarter is a lot bigger than our Indiegogo.
Right.
It's a lot bigger. Our Kickstarter is in the 28 days was over 62,000 for this book, and the Indiegogo now after months is I think just over 46,000.
Wow.
So it's
still great numbers, but
it's a lot. Oh yeah. Oh gosh. Yeah.
Hopefully
yeah.
you're building a mailing list off of that. Obviously, right?
Yeah. So that's the thing is that we're kind of curious as to because they're both lower than the last one. Now again, this is a specialty book. It's a it's an art book. It's not a new comic, and maybe that's why. But it's a lot less
Could be
than the last campaign. Like the last She campaign is well over $100,000 more than this one.
Yeah.
Like $130,000 more, I think, than this past campaign.
Yeah. So think about that decline and how much money you could keep, right? So that's like kind of the big reason why people should use the platform. Mm-hmm. Number one, you're keeping more of your own money. Number two, I think I do a pretty good job of customer service. I'm pretty much at everyone's beck and call. I'm like, if something goes wrong, you can't call up the guys that, the guy that built Kickstarter. You know, but you can call me up and I'll be there to make sure that things go well with you. I mean, we've been doing this for a year and a little over a year now, and so we're pretty well tested. But the cool thing is, even outside of that, is we're not done developing yet, guys. Like we're still, as the tips. So we have this program where backers will tip the website, and it's like the Indiegogo version, the Pink Site version, but they kind of hide it. Ours is set to 0. But when you tip the site, it actually sends the campaign up to the front of the website, so it gets it there right in the front page, right? And so it goes there, but it also goes to benefit our development funds, so that we can add new features and put more things into place that are there for you, and the users actually get a chance to help vote on some of those things. Mm-hmm. So yeah, we've got a lot of really cool things that we're going to work on that are in development. My favorite is we're going to be doing weight-based shipping at some point. So that's a huge build, but
what kind of shipping?
Weight-based.
And
so
can you
it'd be
explain
based
that?
off of so rather than like it's $10 to ship to the U.S., it will go off of, we're going to build in item-based inventory, and as part of those items, we're going to be able to attach the weight of that item and the dimension of what the shipping box would be, right? And so at checkout, it will use the zip code, and it will use the weight and dimensions to calculate shipping. That's our goal. Like, that's where we're going for, is to calculate shipping that way, and you can attach your, like your stamps.com or your pirateship.com into it, so that you can do all of your labels right there in one spot and make it really easy and integrated. So that's our long-term goal with that. So it's going to take a minute. But
yeah. Now with those, so you look at Kickstarter, you look at Indiegogo, and they've got their 5% fees and whatnot. And with you guys having kind of like your top tiers, like at a 3% fee, where does that hold you guys like for, bringing in the money? Because you're giving a lot more to the creator, but you also need to make money to grow the site and to build the site. Right. I mean, down the road, do you think it might cause
that's
increase?
that's where the tips are coming in, because we find that people are so excited about what we're trying to do that they're more generous on the back end.
Okay.
So
balancing it out.
Great.
It's totally balancing out. Yeah. And that's why, we're so willing, to lower those platform fees for ambassadors. If they're out there actively recruiting other creators to come to the platform and use it. See, I look at it like this. We've kind of got this big, 50-gallon drum. And I've only got, say, this much of an audience to pour into the drum. But maybe you have this much, right? Yeah. Well, if we both poured into the drum, now there's more there to work with. And so my goal is to get as many of us as possible that really want a platform that is dedicated towards independent comic books and the audience that we cater to. 5% of the Pink and Green site, 5% of their audience is comic books, 5% is games.
Yeah.
100% of our audience is comic books and games. If you launch on FundMyComic, you have an opportunity, if you build your campaign well enough, to sell to every last one of the people that comes onto that platform. And some people do. Some people.
That's great. Now, again, how many subs? How many customers like comic? I mean, because it's basically FundMyComic. So, how many what was it? Subs? What would it be? Not subs. Customers.
Users, unique users. Yeah, we've got.
Users. Yeah.
So we've got I think over 10,000 registered users right now with the website. We were expecting maybe 5,000 by 7,000 by this time. So we're doing really well. And we've processed over, I think what was the last transaction number? It's pretty high. I think it's over 12. I think it's over 12,000 transactions that we've processed.
Sweet.
So
that's fantastic. Now I'm curious. Now with starting a crowdfunding site, have you ever heard anything from the competition? Have you heard anything from Kickstarter or Indiegogo?
No, but I owe them I owe their last comic book czar, I don't know, like a fruit basket or something. So we're trying to get started on this thing, and out of nowhere I get a message from John Delarose, and he says, "Hey, I know this guy, and he just woke up this morning and found out that his campaign was canceled and refunded. He had like 6 days left to go. He was funded. He was going to like maybe a $4,000 or $6,000 stretch goal. Not a lot of money." And he says, "Can I send him to you and maybe could you help him out?" And I was like, "Sure." I'm like, how offensive is his stuff that he got canceled, right? Because, we have 3 basic pillars when we decided to start this thing. Freedom of expression had to be number 1. Fierce independence, because I want to be able to do whatever I want to do, right? My goal was to be able to make my comics and be left the hell alone.
Right.
Right. And so I think all of us, that's kind of ultimately what we want to do. And so I wanted to make sure everyone had that ability, that it wasn't just me. And then trust. We wanted to make sure that we built, kind of an atmosphere of trust that people could get behind. And so we worked I was like, well, part of that is we've got to review your campaign so that we know that someone can't say, "Hey, that's inappropriate," and then we cancel it later. So if you get approved, there's no cancellations. If you're approved, you're approved. That means we've gone over it with a fine-tooth comb. We know what's there, and if someone complains, they're going to hit the brick wall, or a stone wall, if you will. No pun intended. Pun intended, actually. And so the guy got a hold of me. I looked at his campaign. He built the new one. I said, "Yeah, we can have you up within 24 hours, and there's no reason why you shouldn't be able to do this."
Yeah, why was he canceled?
He wrote a book, and it was prose, is what it was. But it was a take on the monkey trials, but it had to do with gender, X and Y chromosomes.
Oh,
yeah.
And I said, that falls under freedom of expression. You're not being You're not using hateful or aggressive language in it. You're very respectful. You're selling the book on its merit, not on some, sensationalism. I said, yeah, there's no reason why you shouldn't be able to. Yeah, you're good to go. And so he relaunched, and he was our first one to break 10,000. And not only did he do that, he reached over $15,000 for his book. I mean, it was pretty impressive. He made way more because of it.
And he made,
and it brought,
and on you, and you,
yeah,
on yours too.
It got us, mentioned on Fox News and things like that, which really helps.
Yeah.
So it brought a lot of conservative voices over, and we were like, hey, this is for everybody, right? Because I know one day the cancellations are going to happen on the other end. So it's for everybody, everyone should be happy that we take this constitutional stance, if you will, this freedom of speech kind of attitude. And really the thing that speaks loudest to us is dollars. It's we want you to have dollars. Let's not worry about whatever's hot on the buzz this week.
Right.
On social media. Let's focus on making comic books and having a good time, making some money while we do it.
Yeah,
and
definitely.
Hell yeah.
So that's so that helped us. And then so we had, and then they canceled somebody else, like they messed up somewhere. Yeah, there's a few of them have been, big bumps have been because Kickstarter's was screwing around with someone's livelihood, and
yeah.
it sent traffic to us. So, yeah.
Indiegogo with the shadow banning. I think a lot of customers and stuff, and I was telling Billy this too when we were talking about Indiegogo. I'm like, I think the campaigns are lower on Indiegogo because I think a lot of customers lost faith in supporting them because of the shadow bans and things. And I think you have taken a lot of those creators and users over to your platform.
Yeah, I think one of the things that we've also seen, speaking to that about these users coming over, is they are okay. I hate to call what we do a community, comic book community. It's an industry, but I think the fandom around what we do is the community. And those people have really adopted FundMyComic and what we are and what we believe in. Mm-hmm. So much so that they are recruiting people, and they're going out and spreading the word. We have a street team, so you can sign up for a street team. You get a T-shirt, you get some stickers, you get a flyer that you can print off and hand out. You can go to so we have people going to conventions talking about FundMyComic. We have people going to the local shops talking about FundMyComic, talking to the local creators that they know about funding with FundMyComic. And so the street team, it reminds me so much of being in in that punk band back in the 90s. That we're just, we didn't have mainstream media to help us. We didn't have a ton of money to get out there. What we had was word of mouth and rabid fans. And we've been able to really succeed so far with that. I mean, looking at our growth in just a year and a half, it's because of the fans. It really is.
That's awesome. And then I got a couple super chats, which I'm going to get to. But first I want to ask, you're talking about your street team that goes around and helps promote. Are you guys looking at, getting booths together, doing some traveling, getting to some conventions, like actually having that, FundMyComic booth?
Yes, we are. So Phil Baggins, who's in the chat, is actually
what's up?
He's actually my partner for Iron Age distribution, which is kind of another wing of what we're trying to do. And then he's kind of been helping out, but he's going to be my convention guy. He's going to be going around and setting up the FundMyComic booth and doing that kind of stuff for me. That's going to be his permit. I hate doing conventions. I will do a few, but I hate them. I hate them with a passion.
They're a pain in the ass.
They are.
Getting ready to go to and stuff, but
it makes so much more just sitting here doing this.
Yeah, and oh my God, I'm just like, the night before I go to a convention, I am like a bear, Yeah. I'm just in the worst mood. Excuse me, I got up at 5. I'm just in the, and I haven't had a chance to actually relax since the convention. But then again, there is cool things, like I said, like when you do hang out with, like Marcus Killigrew and a couple of guys, we had a great time. It really depends on the show,
Yeah.
To actually hit, see Aaron Sleeper, hung out with, saw him. it's I love getting out because I think that this is, believe it or not, this has become like our well, my social life. Because we work, isolated, right? Because we have to, we don't have time. So it's great to stream it all, but then with comics, with the conventions, that's when you see everybody. Hanging out with Ron Garney and Adam Hughes.
Yeah,
and
I
Andy
really do
Smith,
like that part of it.
And, Dennis, and we had a
Yeah.
Well, I mean, they would be like, "Oh shit, it's Luke Stone,"
It would be so great to like have all of that without the anxiety, worrying about you're going to forget something, worrying about how much money you're making in per hour.
Philbo takes care of that, and then you just show up. You know,
you just
and
show,
have
you're,
right.
you're
Yeah,
going
that's
to
how
be.
it's gonna work.
You know who you
That's
are,
on him.
Luke Stone.
That's on him.
Yeah,
Luke Stone.
I'm just going to roll in like a rock
Roy
star.
Thomas.
That's it.
That's you, Luke. You're Roy Thomas. You just show up.
That's
Right?
it.
Yeah.
That money.
And we got super chats here. So Aaron Sleeper the Man, $4.99 super chat. Thank you, sir. Do you guys offer any advice, assistance for first timers? I've got a great original idea for a steampunk comic. And then he also I'm going to tie in his second super chat, another $4.99. Thank you, Aaron. About a beautiful marine biologist who, while vacationing in Bermuda, gets sucked into a time portal and awakens 150 years in the past.
That's a cool story. He told me about that.
Did he?
That does sound cool.
That's a cool story.
We've got a Discord that people jump onto that we help with collaboration. We also have on our Start Here page, so we kind of have a Start Here at the top. It actually has a lot of marketing and kind of development ideas and things that like you want to do pre-campaign, during the campaign, and kind of post-campaign stuff. But I mean, if it's just like strictly like I want to make comic books and I need to know how, like what the next step is, there's a lot of I think great resources out there on YouTube that do that. I mean, on my own channel I do a little bit of it, but there's a lot of kind of how to do those things. But the Discord is really the best place to do that because that's other users giving their experience on, hey, this is what I've done, and let me see. I think one of the people in the chat is in that Discord and helps out a ton over there with kind of answering questions like that.
That's great.
Sinopa Publishing, I think, is over there.
Oh,
and
he's
answer. He answers questions all the time about kind of different stuff, and a lot of his information. He's done a lot, and so we have a lot of people that are like that have done a lot, and really kind of help people out. So that'd be a great place to start and say, hey, help! I want to get started.
Yeah, and then we'll just call him Boomerang. Love your site. Thanks for doing this interview. All right.
Yeah, that's my pleasure. I get to hang out with Tooch. I mean, come on.
Exactly.
I'm a good time.
He's a good time. And he's got a big dog in the background.
Where's my Asha?
That's a big dog.
Yeah.
She's gotta eat. I gotta feed her.
She walked in and walked out.
I just did frosting a venison roast for her, and I gotta cut up and
nice.
and chop.
Dog eats well. That dog eats well, dude. Venison roast?
Yeah, roast.
Little rice pilaf. What are you gonna make for her?
Nah,
side dish.
Just a roast mixed with dry vegetables.
Gotcha. So let's talk, Luke. So you do have some assets on there that help creators out. You've got great fees for creators for getting out there, getting more money into their pockets. How do people like keep track of what you're doing? Like, how is your marketing strategy? Are you guys streaming a special channel, or is it a lot of social media updates? What's the marketing arm of FundMyComic?
Yeah, so we do, like I said, I feel like our most effective has been our street team, and so we kind of lean more on that and invest more into that than we originally wanted to start it out with Google ads and things like that, but we weren't seeing great analytics on that. So we continue to develop a mailing list and things of that nature. It's a lot of social media stuff. It's a lot of going into conventions and recruiting those creators that I see there. One of the things that we've added to the site is the mini calculator, where you can type in what you raised on your last campaign, and you can see how much money you would keep on your own, and that's helped tremendously. That's adding
an excellent idea.
Yeah, we're adding additional tools so that people can actually help budget for their campaign and things like that. But the majority of our marketing is not only geared towards reaching new audiences, but it's about trying to sell the books that are on there to the cross audience and a new audience. So we do a lot of targeted emailing. We're kind of building our own algorithms for this right now. So we're kind of gathering all of the data that we need so that we can kind of automate it. But right now it's ran by one of us. We do all of the kind of emails. We'll go through and check. Well, here are all the users that bought this book, and here are all the people that bought this book, and here's this book that's very, very similar to these. So those two groups of users, and here are the ones that are subscribed in the mailing list. Let's send them out an email to let them know that there's this new project that's gone live that they might like, you know, and so we're seeing some success with that. And then, you know, getting around, and I find that the best marketing has been personal marketing. Like, you know, just getting out in front of people, doing a lot of shows like this. I find that I don't stream for myself as much anymore. But we do, you know, I do a weekly Nerd Bacon where we keep updates on my channel. We'll do that.
Nerd Bacon,
yeah, on Thursday mornings. I wasn't there this week. So Randy and the gang, they took it for me. I was like, no Nerd Bacon this week. I'm too busy. I have too much work to do. If I didn't leave this chair for 4 days, I would still have work to do.
Yeah.
I would still have work to do. So, yeah.
That's cool. Now, have you looked at, you know, targeting like big crowdfunders, reaching out to, say, the Brian Politos of the world that are, you know, doing that, trying to recruit them over? Because like you said, and one thing I've learned too in developing, you know, how crowdfunding sites and even social media sites in general, right, is you won't have a culture right off the bat. You want to build your own culture, but you want to bring in people that have culture. And like you said, take your two cups and mix them together. Have you made attempts to reach out to big names, try to get them over to try a campaign or something?
Yes, sir. And early on, you know, people were like, well, you need to get a couple of whales, right? Like, let's be honest here, talk about whales. I'm like, but, you know, I was a little uneasy with that way of thinking. I said, you know what, I think we need to focus on tuna, you know, because there's not as many whales as there are tuna. There's a ton of tuna.
Yeah.
And if you get enough tuna, the whales will come, you know. And so, yes, we've tried to recruit kind of like the bigger creators with a larger draw. We've brought some of them in. We've got a few of them that use the platform. Mike Barron comes on, does a campaign with every one of them. We've had Rainey come on the platform and do a project. And we've had Kelsey Shannon come on and do a project. I do know that Ethan is going to be launching links on FundMyComic. It's going to be exclusive over there when he is ready to launch that one. And so, yeah, we've been doing a fair bit of recruiting. And right now, you know, we've brought on some other ambassadors that are trying to bring some of the Kickstarter crowd over. You know, so they're in the process of recruiting, you know, those people. And again, it comes down to really our street team, you know, that are helping this out, and kind of guys that have been with me from the very beginning. We've talked with Art, you know, not to throw anybody under the bus, but I think Art's coming over. He's going to come over and do something. And so, yeah, we're just trying to get as many of you guys, as many of my heroes as possible to come over and run a campaign.
Yeah, I've got to have Eddie look at, because we had talked about it ourselves. We're like, it's a no-brainer to do it.
Right, yeah.
You know, it's just like I was saying earlier, it's just another thing to do. Don't think, you know, because, and we've had this conversation. I've had this with a couple of the kings and the bros and stuff, and you have a strategy. You know, you have your plan. You're doing stuff that you're used to, but it's also a great way for them. But maybe even like second chance campaigns. Yeah. You know, say just to even get them their foot in the door. Say with us, we do, you know, a second chance of all the stuff that is no longer on Indiegogo or Kickstarter, and introduce that to a whole audience, because it's stupid just to leave them there and not to pursue them. You know? Yeah. Are you interested? Are you okay with that? If people did?
Yeah. Initially, that's what we did. We just asked people to come over and do a second chance. Okay. We're finding where people, you know, that does help some people, you know, especially if the book has been out of, it hasn't been accessible for a minute. Second chances work okay. We are seeing that they're the best The best results are when people launch something kind of new or exclusive with it.
Yeah.
You know, let's say it's a second
good.
chance with a brand new cover.
Oh,
Yep.
yeah, like
Like a new variant cover or
Yeah.
something. Yeah, definitely.
Or
So we
even-
find if you're going to do a second chance, that's the best way to do it. And then, you know, treat it like a normal campaign, you know, to like, you know, get the word out there. Because, I mean, even if it makes, 30% of what your last campaign did, you know, with the additional savings, the platform fee, that's a lot more money than what you had. You know,
Yeah.
any dollar, new is a dollar you didn't have. So,
Yeah.
you know, that's really kind of what we look at there. So,
Yeah, we've talked a lot about the site, but I mean, we put it up. I mean, what's nice about the site design is it is very simple, right? You
Yeah.
go through,
Oh, yeah.
you have your categories right here, and have you seen, obviously comics is huge, right? For this site,
Huge.
comics are huge. These other
Huge.
categories you have, are you seeing anything trickle in, or they're just right now kind of vacant?
card games, yes. Video games, no. Board games, yes. A couple of role-playing games. A couple magazines. We've had 2 people try to do a book. Obviously, comics and graphic novels are crazy. Apparel is doing okay.
Any manga?
Collectibles, yes. Yeah, we've had manga. We have had 0 miniatures. No miniatures.
No miniatures.
Wait, I take that back. I think we have 1 miniature. Yeah,
And what's
we've
nice
had
too
one
is
miniature.
it's familiar, right? Like the layout's familiar. It's not like
Right.
people are going to come here and see anything they haven't seen before, which is great. One thing, didn't you have a feature where the campaign video would load when you hovered over?
Oh, that was one of my biggest faux pas so far. It was a great idea in theory, right? But so we ran into a few problems. It slowed down the page's load time tremendously. The second thing that it did was, so let's say I'm watching it and I'm on a stream like we are right now,
Yeah.
and I'm signed in with my Google account. When the video stops playing, it shows my playlist, like my suggestions
Yeah.
for like the videos I like to watch. That was embarrassing for a few people. Not for me. I don't watch anything weird. But, when you watch a lot of hot yoga and it pops up on the live stream, that's weird, right? So,
Yeah.
Hot yoga.
so there was that, right? If you're like a secret, if you're like a hardcore Democrat and a secret Republican, and all of your pro-Trump videos comes up, that's not a good look for you, right? But we realized that it just wasn't working, and people were trying to use the same trailer video, and not everybody's trailer video is equal to the other ones, And so we just found it was faster on the site and more visually appealing to have a really good card image like that up there. So
Gotcha. Now with the campaign video though, is it? I can't remember because I've shown a bunch of campaigns, promoting stuff,
Yeah.
but like Indiegogo basically like ports it from YouTube. Kickstarter
do the
you
same
like
thing.
natively load it. Oh, so you do the same. So that
Yeah, we
still
port it from
happens
YouTube,
then,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So if that video plays, it kind
Right,
of
yeah.
still shows someone's playlist.
Yeah, it'll still show their playlist. Yeah, so we still port from YouTube. We try to keep the site, the back end as clean as possible, so we don't have a lot of loading in your own graphics and things like that. The graphics are loaded to the site, and so we want to, we do have a limit. It's like I think one gig per image, or it kicks it back at you. But really, you can go over to your pink or green site right now, whatever campaign, literally drag that whole thing and just drag it over and drop it down, and it will copy it directly from there. Now, where you have to run into some problems, we ran into this with a creator recently, was that they drag and dropped their campaign over, but then they wanted to change a couple of things because they branded some images for Kickstarter, and they wanted to brand it for FMC. And so when they went to go do that, it was made in a different program, and so they had some image sizing issues. So we did find that in certain circumstances, you can have some trouble with image sizing issues if you just drag and drop and copy some of it and then try to import the rest of the images if they're not made in the exact same template as the other images. So So yeah, so fun stuff. So
Oh, nice. And Russell Cassidy asks, Luke, do you allow collaborators yet?
we're very very close to that. So we try not to do any development over the busy summer months, because whenever you add a new piece into the code, it's going to give a couple of weeks of frustration of figuring that out. So we try to look for lulls in the schedule, and so summer months are pretty busy. So come a little bit into August, we're actually going to implement that and backer numbers. So we're going to do two at once. Come this August, September. So yes, we will have collaborators very very soon.
Now he also asks, and is there a way to do backer kit afterwards?
We haven't worked with BackerKit to plug in. They I think they have a deal with Kickstarter now. They're doing their own crowdfunding, so I don't know how willing they are to work with us. But the way we do things, so we don't, our kind of campaign portal, like checkout portal, is a little different. I want it to be more like an e-commerce site than a crowdfunding site. And so rather than have the first initial thing and then you go through to add-ons, we have a shopping cart down in the corner. And you can pick up to 5 of each reward that's listed, if it's available, up to 5 of each one, into the shopping cart and do a checkout all at once. It still separates it out into transactions so we can, like on the back end, so we can this one can get tracked and that one can get tracked and everything. But it's, instead of making people have to go in and back something and then back out and back something else, you can add it all into a shopping cart, which is also going to play into effect when we add the weight-based shipping in the future. So we're kind of thinking long-term with a lot of that stuff. But so when it comes to that kind of checkout piece, it's cool. A little different.
Nice. And then we'll checking out like the campaigns itself. We'll throw it to Vaughn Coleman, Tooch. We'll throw it to Vaughn
Coleman.
Right, he's right here.
Well,
Vaughn Coleman with his freshman
hung out with last
campaign here. But so you come in, right? You come into it again, very easy, very familiar, right? You've got the title, you've got the description. We've got our campaign video, we've got website links, for the creators. Beautiful thumbs up, guns out. Vaughn Coleman here. Just snapping at you. Hey, back my campaign. And everything comes up, snapping at you. Finger bang. He's finger banging us. He's finger banging us. Vaughn, stop finger banging us. You've got the videos here. Obviously, they can upload additional videos into the campaign. And again, it's very similar. You got all your tiers that you can check out are on the right column.
Here's what's cool about the tiers I didn't mention earlier is I liked the idea of having a featured tier, but again, I wanted complete control. I want to be able to sort those the way I want them to be in order. So let's say I wanted to have this featured first and this one featured second and that third, right? So we actually built it into the system to where you choose the sort order on the rewards when you put them up. So it's not necessarily by value and by alpha. It's by it's by what you want. So if you want that $5 ad signature first, then that's what goes there first. If you want the main cover first, then that's what goes there first.
Nice. So it's not like how the other sites kind of tier them based on like lowest to highest. You can basically put them in any order you want.
Any order you want to. Yeah.
That's fantastic.
Ain't it?
That's fantastic.
Good stuff, kid.
And then so again, you come through. It's like I said, very easy, very familiar. It seems like it'd be an easy transition for anyone that's familiar with using the other sites to come over here and get their campaigns up.
That's what we tried. I wanted to make it really easy because, I'm a little impatient and I don't like to be bothered. Mm-hmm. So I wanted to make sure, and that's why I went with the developers that we did, because they had this already. Like that was one of the first things. I said, no, you can just drag this over. And you can even HTML edit the reward boxes if you want to. So it gave me the most control to start with. And it had the easiest interface to start with. And then I was like, okay, now let's start messing around with it. And then we just started paying their rent for the last 2 years. And Yeah, we've put a lot of money into the site, and
Yeah, it's definitely paying off.
It's been like a nice hobby, because I don't see a lot of that back, because the money we make, we just put right back into the site typically.
Yeah.
And so, but it's been nice. I've really enjoyed kind of building it. And, I mean, it gets me talking to people that, that I love and admire, in this industry, to talk about this stuff. And it's just been a blast. Like I've been a fan of Kelsey Shannon's work for, a couple decades. And, I had Kelsey calling me, asking me questions when he's building his campaign. And I'm like, I remember hanging up the phone, and I walked downstairs, and I looked at my wife, and I said, I just got off the phone with Kelsey Shannon. She goes, great.
Right?
She goes, great. Who's that? And I said, I don't know. Just an artist that I've admired since I was, since I was 20 years old. And, and she goes, oh, cool. What do you call about? I'm like, he's starting a campaign on FundMyComic. And I said, I mean, how cool is this? Right. And so, yeah, it's really neat, and like I get to, I've gotten a chance to like talk with Mike Barron and Billy Tucci, and, I mean, this is like cool for me, because I love comic books, and I'm a fan. I'm a fan first, a creator second, and I love seeing brand new people that have kind of dreamed about making a comic book their whole life, have the resources to be able to do that. It means the world to me, man. It's just, and I believe in karma. I believe if you do good things come back to you, right? In some way or another. So yeah, it's good stuff.
Yeah, this is great, man. Everything you guys put together is awesome.
Great.
You're doing a fantastic job.
Thank you.
I really hope to see more creators transitioning over, because obviously it's a kind of a no bias site. You guys are just trying to give everyone the right that they have, which is to, make their books and go out there and do their thing. And, how is, I hear horror stories like, oh, I submitted my campaign into Kickstarter and it's 3-4 weeks. I haven't heard back yet. What is your approval turnaround time?
I try to do 3 business days at max. Normally it's same day or next day. We don't do any work on Sunday. That's my day off.
Yeah.
I go to church, and then I go out to lunch, and then I take a deep nap on Sunday, deep nap. But we're in the office Monday through Saturday. So Monday 8:30 to 4:30, Monday through Friday, and then Saturdays I'm in the office from 9 to noon. So yeah, we get all that stuff done then. And so I'm normally drinking a cup of coffee, and either myself or another admin is doing the reviews. When we're not busy, I like to do all the reviews myself. It's actually my favorite part. It's when I get my shopping done.
Yeah. That's pretty cool. Now, so you said, like you're doing most of the reviews. So do you have more of the team that also is approving campaigns?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we've got I think, let me try to count real quick. Yeah, I've got 4 other admins that can do reviews for me when I need them to. I've got a couple of other admins that they're there for back end tech stuff, so
yeah,
I think there's a team of 6, not including myself, 6 that are doing this stuff. So, and that's just on our end, and then our developers have a whole team that we work with over there. We have our main guy Ryan, who we deal with, who has built every aspect of the site, and he's been fun to collaborate with. So I've kind of collaborated with him on a few ideas. It's like, hey, I want to do this. What is possible with what we've already built, without going nuts and that kind of stuff. So he's been a real joy to work with, and yeah.
So what's the, we'll start wrapping, because I think we've kind of really touched a really good base on everything. But so you're in year 1's over, the 5, you're in your 5-year plan. I mean, what's the vision for where you want to be at, say, come year 5?
Year 5, I would like to have at least a staff of 5 people, like that are not just volunteer but being paid. I'd like to see, like right now, realistically, we're thinking at the end of 5 years, we would like to see 500 campaigns, at least 500 campaigns running on the websites consecutively, simultaneously. And then, my goal is my goal is 2 million, to have raised $2 million through the website by the end of 5 years. So that's my, I think it's conservative. I think that's a conservative goal. I think it's very possible.
Well, how much did you say you've done so far?
400 and 409, what was it?
Over 400,000 year one. I mean, by year 5, I think you're going to crush that.
I think
as
we
long
might,
as everything, the trajectory continues upwards,
Yeah, 489,000. So I
you're
think
a quarter of the way there.
It's conservative. I'm like, like I said, we don't know.
Yeah.
It's an election year. We don't know what's going to happen next year.
Yeah.
I mean, a meteor could come and kill us all. I mean, who knows? I mean, I could.
Sure.
I didn't think in 2021 that I started the year saying I was going to draw like it was my last year of existence. I was going to try to make as much as I could, and I didn't know how close to true that was going to be. I wound up, in August, going August 30, I was put in a coma, not expected to survive. And no one was more shocked than I when I woke up. I had totally expected to pass.
Yeah.
And
well, we're glad you did.
How are you feeling now?
I'm about 85%. I'm still recovering. I'm able to use my left hand again. I started playing dulcimer. I used to be a really good guitar player. You got to be humble when you can do things really awesome that nobody else can, but when you can't do them anymore, humility's not expected. I can't play guitar anymore. Guys, I was amazing. I was an amazing guitar player. Can't do a lick of it anymore. But I've started to be able to play like a thing called a mountain dulcimer. I've started singing again, which is nice. I can almost walk down the stairs normal instead of like an old man. I do get out and exercise with my family a bit, so things are looking up. I mean, I'm doing better, but
Well, God bless you, kid.
yeah. Thank you. My lungs are still at 49%. They're not. It's going to take a while to get them back to, my goal is 60%. If I can get there, I'll be fine. Yeah.
Yeah. Now having that such a close call experience, near death experience, right? You come out of that and you have this idea. You're pushing. You're like, screw it. I'm going to be in charge of my destiny. I mean, does that take a fear out of taking risks?
Yeah, I'm not afraid of anything anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that's what holds a lot of people back is their fear. Like that's what keeps them from taking that chance and that jump. They're afraid, and I get it. Fear can be crippling, but look, I saw what the human spirit, we're resilient, we're, I do my best work under pressure, like that's when I do my best stuff is when, when death is blowing his kite, it's got his icy breath blowing down my neck, so I'm like, kind of removing that made me take the chances that I probably otherwise wouldn't. But I've also understood that that's what's made people so angry. One of the questions I got, well, why Luke? Luke doesn't know anything about crowdfunding, building a crowdfunding site. That's right, I don't, but I got money that can pay for people that does, right?
Yeah.
It's like, well, I don't have the money. It's like, well, I took my severance that my family was going to live on, and I invested it and there was some apprehension in that, but I believed in what I was doing. My wife believed in it. If she wasn't on board, there's no way I was going to do it, right? But I've got an amazing partner. She was there. She's the reason why I'm alive. She advocated for me when doctors and therapists were giving up on me. She was advocating. And so, I just believed in what we were doing. And I think that we, and I think people get upset when they see like, well, why Luke? Why build the crowdfunding? Why not one of these other guys or whatever? It's like, well, because I'm the one that did it, and you could have done it too. I had this rash of people who are like, well, if I would have done it, I would have done it like this. And I'm like, well, you should have done it, right? And so I was like, well, he goes, I can do it. I can go build a website. I'm like, please do it. I'm like, the more websites we have, the better. I'm like, you don't understand. It's like, I don't, I'm not worried about like competition or all this. I want to make comic books and have fun. I want to help other people do it. If nobody else, like right now, honestly, guys, if nobody else talked about FundMyComic another day, and just the people that are on it were using it, we could run this thing infinitely. Like we could all fund our comics infinitely if we just build our own audience right here and keep more of our own money. I mean, it's to the point to where, Todd and I really have to have a meeting because one of these days my goal is to drop the platform fee permanently to 2%, which is where I wanted it to be to begin with. But because of inflation, we couldn't, but
Yeah.
Right.
But yeah, fear just cripples people. It keeps us from asking that hot chick out. It keeps us from, going putting our name in for that promotion. It keeps us from,
Keeps
trying
a lot of
things
people
that
from
we shouldn't.
starting their books, with great ideas because they
Yes,
have
it
that
does.
fear of, will people like it? How do I do this? How do I do that? And I've seen a lot of it, and I'm not one to talk. My book is, I'm still working on mine, but I've put this channel and other things ahead of it because I enjoy doing it as well. But, I get a lot of people that come up and ask, well, how do you do this? How do you do that? And, I tell them, well, you got to just do it. You got to just do it. You got to break that fear and just do it because you're not going to know. Will people like it? Yes. Will people not like it? Yes. Will you have to deal with, possibility in that social media end? Are people going to be attacking you? Like, if you want to be a creator and you want to entertain, you're entering the entertainment industry, whether it's comics, television, movies, music. It's entertainment industry. It's just you're within a category of it. So you're going to be hit with negatives. You're going to be hit with positives. And again, I think fear gets into the people's heads and it becomes debilitating. And they never make that leap, but then they become like angry. And I think that's like how a lot of trolls start, right? Are probably people that now are just angry that, their way of retaliating is kind of like attacking the people that are actually doing it.
Yeah. I think you're onto something there. Honestly, it's you should hope that you get some hate.
Yeah.
Along with the love, right? Because I
You're
think
doing
that means you're
something
doing it right?
Yeah.
So I'm a fan of this Caitlin Clark gal, right?
Oh yeah.
Awesome. I started following her when I found out she was about to break Pistol Pete's record, college record. So I started following her, and so I'm watching this whole rivalry between her and Angel Reese. Both of them are great players. They play different positions, so they're going to have different styles, right? There's not one that I think is really necessarily better than the other. I think if they were on the same team, they'd be completely unstoppable. But what I notice is there's a lot of people that hate on Caitlin, and there's a lot of people that hate on Angel. Well, it's because they're successful. It's because they're good at what they do. If you have any level of success, there's going to be somebody there that is somehow offended by it. And you should take that as a compliment, I think.
Yeah.
And expect it. If everyone just tells you you're great and that your book is amazing, they're probably lying to you. To be honest, because we all have work that can be done. Unless you're Billy Tucci, and then your book is amazing and it's perfect, right?
It just flows naturally out of him, just like how the wind blows. It's just a natural occurrence. But like you said, people were like, "Why is Luke doing this?" Right?
Yeah.
Because there's probably people that were jealous they were doing it, and we've gone down the road of looking at doing a crowdfunding site. We went into the development of it, and it's not for the faint of heart.
No.
It really
I was
is
told
not.
not to do. Like I had people in my inner circle say, "Don't do it." Billy's building his own website. Ethan's going to build his own website. You won't be able to last if these guys do this, right? And I was like, look, I just feel too strongly. Todd felt too strongly. My wife, our wives were on board with this, that no, we need to make this investment. That it'll all work out. And again, if all we ever did was serve the tuna, right? That we would have enough. We would be... so I thought, let's just be faithful with doing what we believe we're put on this planet to do. I didn't almost die to come back and put off doing things because it might be hard. I'm like, I knew it was going to be hard. Exactly. And you're right. It's not for the faint of heart. No. Building a website, doing a crowdfunding website is not.
The legal, the attorneys that were needed, the accounting, the development. I mean, I was over 3 years in development of it until we hit a point where it was like, you know what? There was partnership issues,
Right.
but not with me and Billy, but in the development and things of that nature, where it came to a point like now it becomes too risky because, like you said, you're talking a lot of money. I mean, some cases, you know, you could be looking at hundreds of thousands of dollars investing in building, and you know,
Right.
you're not. What I think people don't realize is it's a crowdfunding site, and they think comics, but you're actually a tech company. You
Yeah.
are a tech company because you're building a tech site that happens to host, you know, creators put their products up, but you're not building a comic book website. You're in the tech industry now. You're Silicon Valley, you know, and I don't think people realize, you know, what you're doing. And to get to where you got to is commemorable. And to any haters out there, well, he did it. And it takes a substantial amount of time, a substantial amount of money, and to put it together and to actually compete now with the green and pink companies. I mean, you know, applause to you, dude. That's incredible.
Hell yeah.
You know what's funny is, you know, people know me as a comic book artist, but I was in business management before I went into comic books and ministry. So I mean, so there was that. So I did kind of have that background. So I knew hire the best people around you, and you know, we were able to get this done in 2 years. You know, the development and you know, again, just all those pieces fell into place. The stuff that we thought was going to take forever and that we thought was going to be a headache just wasn't. It's just been it's been a real blessing to, you know, just see the excitement with people.
Truly,
Building, it's about comic books, man. And now we do have a sister site. People asked about, you know, can we crowdfund other stuff? And so we built another site called fundiverse.com. And right now we have like one campaign up there, not doing incredibly well. I just talked with a gaming development company who wants to do animation and stuff like that. And so they're going to probably help populate that part of the site. But if there's anybody out there that wants to do something else, we're offering the first 25 campaigns have a 0% platform fee. Has all the same tools, just different branding as FundMyComic. And same tips set up and everything. And whenever we do a new development for FundMyComic, it happens for Fundiverse too. And so eventually we will populate Fundiverse, and then we'll have a whole other team running that side of the business. And then I'm going to stay focused on FundMyComic. That's my baby. So, and then we'll be doing that. But both incomes will go to help build and bolster the site. So,
Fantastic.
overall, so yeah.
Very cool, man. Well, hey, Luke, man, thanks again for coming on, chatting with us. You know, we just wanted to help kind of spread the word of this. You know, it's been a year now, getting you know, on the show, talking about FundMyComic, start bringing in some more creators in, educating more creators that are looking to do this or transition to different sites, or honestly just try to hit every market they can. And, you know, we're hoping that helps bring in some more, like I said, traffic to FundMyComic. And for those that are watching this live or recorded, obviously the link's been thrown up a bunch of times in the live chat. It's in the description of the show. So if you're watching this recorded and you want to check it out, please look at that description. The link for FundMyComic is there. There's some great campaigns up there. A lot of our friends are on that site with campaigns. And dude, keep on rock and rolling, dude. It's awesome what you're doing.
Yeah, we're looking forward to working with you too, Luke. Just be
looking
patient with us. Let us get caught up.
Oh, I understand. Yeah.
But
I haven't been able to work on my own personal projects for over a year.
Oh man, does it eat at you by any chance?
It really does every day. Well, I remember I said I started this thing so I can make my comics and be left the hell alone. Neither one of those things has been able to happen since I started this. And I couldn't be happier.
That's fantastic.
Great
That's
job.
fantastic.
Great.
All right, everyone. Well, thanks for tuning in tonight. Thanks for hanging out with me, Billy, and Luke, talking about FundMyComic. And next week, also, I'll be going live with a new episode of Steven Smino Says Boom Show. We're going to be having the great Mike Uslan on. If you're not sure who he is one of the biggest producers in Hollywood. He is the executive producer for every Batman film. He is the executive producer for every Warner Brothers animated film. I mean, go to IMDb, look him up. You're going to want to check out this show because this man is a lifelong comic book fan. And he's Batman, Batman Returns, Batman Forever, The Dark Knight, you know, every Batman movie out there. It's just fantastic. It's going to be a good time chatting with him. And Billy, we got Thursday Night Live with Tooch next week?
Oh, yeah.
All right.
Yeah. I just got to figure out what I'm doing. I got to tell you what I was thinking about doing.
What are you thinking about doing?
Maybe a debate show.
Oh, what are we debating?
All right, well, For those of you
Legs or
that
ass?
may or may not know, you look at these things. With you have, Neanderthal man, right?
Yeah.
And what was once called Cro-Magnon man, and now they're called early modern humans, right?
Mm-hmm.
Here's my thing. You look at the skull, evolution of the skulls from the very earliest Homo erectus, right? Like Lucy or something, right?
Yeah.
All the way up. You see the skulls changing. You see them, and they're all very similar, but very slight over hundreds of thousands of years. And then it goes leading up to the Neanderthal man, right? And you can see there's a direct correlation, right? You can put them all. Same time, Neanderthal man comes about a few thousand years later, roughly 40 to 10,000 years ago, right? Early modern humans show up.
It's the Anunnaki, bro.
Cro-Magnon man. Where did this guy come from? That's what we're going to talk about.
You know what's really kind of funny that you're mentioning this? My kids were kind of like into some stuff, so they were like on YouTube, and I started showing them some videos of Megalodon and then some dinosaur stuff. And then because of it, I started seeing some things on like early humans and I've actually watched a boatload of documentaries on this and some new stuff. And I want to have this conversation.
I want to have this conversation. What do you think?
I think there's otherworldly explanations we can get into.
I think it's great to have that conversation. So my book is about these angel-human hybrids, so based out of like Genesis chapter 6, talking about the sons of God seeing the daughters of men. But that same instance is recorded in all of the major monotheistic religions, but then also to some other degree in some of the polytheistic religions in the world. And so it made me think, there's got to be some kind of thing to it, right? I mean, when you start thinking about, so when you start thinking about modern man and kind of where we came from, the story of evolution was always kind of what was taught. But I think what's interesting is a hypothesis can be disproven by one piece of information that contradicts it. So if there's one thing that contradicts it, then it's obviously wrong, right? Mm-hmm. It's that one nail. And they found remains of Cro-Magnon man that predated the earliest remains that they found of Neanderthal man. Which means Cro-Magnon man was around.
Did you hear that?
That was actually in one of the documentaries I was watching.
Yeah, so it means Cro-Magnon man was around
before Neanderthal man. They can't call them Cro-Magnon man anymore. They're called early modern humans. They're physically pretty much exactly the same as Europeans.
As us. Yeah, they're us, basically. Yeah.
Pretty crazy.
Early modern years, yeah. Yeah, so regulars and then caveman, right? So that means we were around and dying before Neanderthal was. And
Scala?
So what caused that, right?
What caused that?
But they're also saying Neanderthal, they weren't as dumb as early man or whatever you were calling it. Now covering more areas they habitated, how they buried their dead, how they did things, their tools. We got RT Bear trolling us right now.
Sup, Art?
Speaking of Neanderthals.
Speaking of Neanderthals, he just has thick eyebrows. He's not really, I love Art.
Anyway, but
I could talk on this.
Let's not go too deep into this because we still have to throw in the Anunnaki and how they mutated us and developed us into slaves and for gold. There's so much to get into this, Billy.
We have to talk about the Nephilim.
Yes, exactly. And I don't know if it's happening next week or the week after, but we will be premiering the new series Pop Off, which is our new show where we're going to pop off, get critical on good things, bad things. We're going to invite creators on. This is going to be kind of our fun conversation, hangout show, but with also mixing some promoting it. So we're going to continue to promote not so much crowdfunding comics like we used to do. That whole just direct promoting thing kind of seemed like a lot of people died with a lot of people. So now we're just going to throw them in. Like Luke, you could be a guest. We'll talk about some cool topics. We'll take a commercial break. You'll plug your book, and then we'll jump into like the next topic. So we're going to be premiering Pop Off possibly next Wednesday or the Wednesday after that. I just have to finish the intro. That's what it's going to determine. So everyone, have a great night. Have a great weekend. Check out FundMyComic. See what campaigns they have. Back some campaigns. And everyone, have a good weekend. Have a good weekend.
See you guys.
Thanks, guys.
All right. Have a good one, everyone.
Hey everyone, thank you for joining us on Pop XP. If you haven't already, make sure to click that subscribe button and also click the bell for notifications when we go live and we upload some awesome new content. Also, don't forget to head on over to Twitter and follow us at the Pop XP and over on Instagram at the Pop XP. Thanks again everyone, and we'll see you soon.